He was plainly half expecting it to error out again.
Pretty much. All right. Say what's up to the tube. Hi,
what
tube.
Up, tube?
Hey, tube.
All right. And finally.
Ready to do the show. Now I can turn the on switch.
Oh, wait. Hang on. Oh, cool. Audio is good. Audio
can
is
hit
good.
the on switch. Cool.
All right. Ready for the
no
on
more
switch?
holding back questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. For the show, we're going to get going here now in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Is it SHIT if it's Tuesday? So happy it's Tuesday? Does it work out that way?
It's like Tuesday's more like it's been a long week already and it's only Tuesday.
Oh, or Taco Tuesday, right? That's
Taco Tuesday. That's always good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Tequila
Speaking
and
of
Taco
tacos, well, I'll get to it.
Oh, yeah, there's a good one to go
That's
there.
a good one.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Hernan Cias, host of the Business Bros podcast, along with my co-host,
The insurance bro, James Cias with Pipeline Insurance. And since we already mentioned it, speaking of Taco Tuesdays, are you sick of paying high premiums for your health insurance? Well, I know I sure am. We got an awesome alternative for you, and the best part about it is with every doctor's visit, you can get some authentic TJ tacos. Welcome to the show, representing MediExcel. Thank you so much for joining us, Gustavo Garcia.
No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
dude. I love me some TJ tacos, and I haven't gone to TJ in a very long time.
That's one of the main questions we get whenever we take brokers or clients to go look at the hospital. They're like, can we stop for tacos on the way back?
Heck
So
yeah,
you're already
It's like the
there.
thing to do afterwards. It's like,
Yes.
it's like if we're down there, we might as well get tacos.
All right. Before we talk
Absolutely.
tacos, I gotta mention our promos, ladies and gents. 365 pairs of shoes by the end of the year. So if you got new shoes, used shoes, or you want to donate cash, hit James up 619-884-0045 or James@csfirst.com. We are also doing a beach cleanup this Saturday in IB. That's Imperial Beach from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. So if you need community service hours, you got a high school kid that needs community service hours, or you just want to be part of the community, come on out. 3 p.m. 7 p.m. Saturday, August 24th. Bring your water gun so we can have a nice fun water gun fight after we cleaned up the beach. It'll be a nice beautiful summer day, so hopefully it's a nice summer day that day. And then lastly, on Sunday, if you have nothing to do or if you just want to be part of this event, Christian's Big Heart is going to be having a run at Roar Park on Sunday. I think it starts at 10 a.m. So if you guys have want to get interested in that, let me know. At Business Bros Pod is our social media page. So send us a DM or an email or whatever, and we'll send you all those details. And that's it for today, right? You didn't have another promo or anything?
No, just wanted to remind everybody that if you want your event featured on the Business Bros podcast, absolutely feel free to reach out to us. You can hit me up, James@csfirst.com, or hit that ugly dude up over there, Hernan@csfirst.com. We would love to promote your event as long as it is for a charitable cause.
Boom. All right. Let's go back to TJ Tacos.
Yum.
Okay, so first of all, why would I want to cross the border and have TJ Tacos? What is it that you're doing that's different from everybody else that comes with the added benefit of stopping off and getting tacos and beer?
So what we do is we do group medical insurance, but most of our benefits are in Mexico. And because we're able to offer those benefits in Mexico, it's a lot more affordable than getting insurance here. So it's about a fourth of the cost of having a comparable plan on this side of the border. Mm-hmm. And, we have quality physicians. We have a quality facility that we've been working with for 25 years. So it's been a really big hit, especially in San Diego because of our proximity to the border. And then just how many blue-collar businesses there are here where workers prefer to access care down there.
I know a lot of people already that do that just, in case something happens as an emergency, they're going to go to the ER here, obviously. But for all their primary care, all their checkups, even things like getting braces, they all cross the border because just the cost, right? And I get a lot of positive reports from when they go over there and they go to the hospital. They're like, the service is way better. The facilities are really beautiful. I mean, everything sounds good. The only hassle that I've always ever encountered is, but I have to cross the border.
Right. So that's how these plans came about. So that's how they are designed. They're designed to offer your preventative care and then all your follow-up care down there. But they do cover urgent and emergency care in the U.S. and worldwide. So that way you're covered for the big things while you're not in Mexico. And we have a couple of programs to help our members cross back across the border faster. So we give them complimentary medical passes every time they visit our hospital facility. And that lets them use the medical lane to cross back faster than using the traditional lane. And then we also offer them 50% reimbursements on Sentry cards. And Sentries are like global entries. You have to apply to Customs and Border Protection. You go through a background check, and then depending on your background, you may or may not get approved. But once you're approved, those cards are about $140 for 5 years. We'll send you a check for $65 once you get approved. And we have about half of our office that lives in Tijuana and commutes to work every day to Chula Vista, and it doesn't take them longer than 15 minutes to cross.
With the Sentry Pass.
Right.
Dude, that's all that to me is a big difference. Like we just covered in my class, I was teaching a section on employment. We went through the benefits aspect of employment, right? What kind of benefits different jobs have. And with the kids, we got to sit down and look at the cost of medical insurance. And it gets ridiculous. I was like, for a family of 4, it could be upwards of like $2,000 depending on where you go, what your deductibles are. And that's a lot of money for health insurance. And, you know, for you to be able to get the same type of quality care, but still be covered here for any type of emergency stuff, I mean, that's huge. You guys must have been getting a lot more business lately as this word's getting out.
Right. And then you also have people like my parents, they've had Kaiser for a long time, then they would still go to Mexico for all of their services. Mm-hmm. And then that's a common story that I would hear. It's like, oh, my family's had, you know, some of these other health plans for many years, but we still go to Mexico for our services just because they prefer, you know, that there's no language barrier when they need to communicate with some of their doctors. And we've been able to be successful and grow as word has been spreading out about the plan.
So let me ask you, like, is there like certain restrictions, limitations? Like, who's an ideal client? In other words, like we talk to a lot of 1099 people, right? Mm-hmm. So whether it's a realtor or a loan officer or an escrow, a lot of in the real estate space, small business owners. So what are the qualifications to get onto a MediXL plan?
So right now, most of the companies that we work with, we only service San Diego and Imperial County just because of the proximity. Those are the 2 border counties with Tijuana and Mexicali, which is where we have hospital partnerships. Because of the Affordable Care Act, there are certain restrictions of where you have to live or work to be able to access your medical care. But right now, we mostly work with W-2 businesses. We're expanding into 1099s. But right now, our regulations are just you need to have at least 3 employees working at your company that are W-2 employees. And you'd be able to qualify to apply for coverage. So
it has to be a group.
It has to be a group,
right? And then B, you need to have at least, you said three W-2 employees,
right?
So what if you have, like, for example, you're an S corp, you're one of the W-2 employees for a portion of your pay, and then you have 2 other ones. Does that meet the requirement?
Right, and we're not talking about we'll go down to 1 employee enrolled, but the company just needs to have 3 employees to cover the baselines of. It's not a husband and wife group. It's not an owner-only group. Once you get to that 3 minimum threshold, there's an employee in there that's usually not related to the ownership of the company.
Okay. So it's little workarounds.
Right.
All right.
But we'll go down to, even if there's only 1 employee, that 1 company that's interested and they only have 3 employees, we'll still be able to cover that 1 employee.
Do you have like a minimum standard? Like, let's say you have 10 employees, but only like 3 want to participate. Is that something that you're allowed to do, or do you have to have like a percentage of your employee base as part of the group?
No, and that's been one of the things that's also really contributed to our growth. We're really flexible when it comes to underwriting because I know some of the other health plans are a little bit more strict and they require certain percentages. We'll always write down to 1 employee. So if there's 1 employee interested, the size of the company doesn't matter. We have plans available for that 1 employee.
Awesome. That is very beneficial. So is it just, I think you said it, but I'm not exactly sure. Is it just working with existing businesses? So an individual can't come on and create a plan?
Right. And that's due to restrictions with the California Department of Insurance. There are certain guidelines that say that cross-border plans can only be sold to companies. So we're hoping to maybe see if we can help push them to amend that law to allow us to do some type of individual coverage. But for now, it's just group coverage through companies.
All right, that's cool. So ladies and gents out there, if you guys got some employees, and I mean, I already know being part of a company and offering the medical side of the benefits can be very expensive, but this brings the cost way down and it makes it super affordable. What kind of copays are you looking at usually when you go across the border?
So right now, our most popular plan is about $107 for a 40-year-old, and the copay on that for primary care is $15. One really cool thing that I like about our plans is that we really focus on preventative care. Mm-hmm. So we want to make it easy for our members to go see their primary care doctor as many times as they need to. So all of our plans have this built-in benefit that's a 1 copay per calendar month. And what that means is that they can go see their primary care doctor as many times as they need to within a given month, but they only pay for 1 visit.
Ooh.
So because we really want to encourage them to go back, visit them, and continue that follow-up. because you're able to catch chronic conditions or things before they turn more serious.
Yeah,
and that really helps everyone.
Yeah, definitely, because you're ultimately your insurance company, right? And so things are going to be paid out, and if you can catch it early, it works. So you the human being benefit from catching something ahead of time and making it, correcting the problem as soon as possible. And the insurance company wins because they don't have large payouts for large medical expenses because you caught it early.
Right. And then the employers win too, because they don't see big double-digit rate increases like they do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Where 1 year, they're paying, let's say, right now the average rate for an employee in the U.S. is $400. Usually employers match that at half. So let's say $200, that 20% increase is an extra $40.
Yeah.
If you keep doing that over a couple of years, it really starts to make an impact on your business.
But that's totally affordable. $200 is totally, compared to $1,800. I mean, that could be a lot.
And that's
of money.
just for one employee. But I mean, when you're talking about a family, the average cost in the U.S. is about $1,200. We can cover a family on some of our plans for as little as $360.
Yeah. See, that's a huge difference. And you reimburse some of that Century Pass stuff.
Right.
Up to for each medically insured?
Just for the
primary.
For the primary, right? But the medical pass, the complimentary one, that's available to all of our members.
That's beautiful. That makes things a lot easier. Can this be grouped with anything, or is it just specifically for healthcare?
So we have a lot of companies that offer ancillary benefits. That's how I got started. So I used to work with Aflac before I joined MediExcel, and a lot of companies pair it with another option for coverage, would it be Kaiser or Sharp? Because another thing that's also really unique to us is that we let employees enroll on a U.S. healthcare sponsored health plan like a Kaiser or Sharp, an Anthem, a Blue Shield, and then put their family on MediExcel. There might be different reasons why an employee might choose to do that, where it's affordability. Maybe they're going through an immigration status change and they can't exit the country. Maybe they live here, but the family lives down in Mexico. So it makes sense for them to be able to split their coverage, and it's been really popular on the groups that have offered it.
And that still has to go through the employer?
Right.
So like if your employer is not part of the plan, they have to become part of that plan.
Right.
Or add it as a supplementary.
Right. And then you'll be able to cover your family on our plan, and then save yourself some premium money. Or if your family just prefers to access care down there, but you don't, they can do that as well.
That's cool. Choices,
right? And it's at the end of the day, that's what employers want, to give their employees choices and freedom to do what benefits their situation.
All right. Well, let's talk about you a little bit. How did you decide to get into the insurance industry? Like, where'd you come from before that?
So I used to work for a lawyer, right? When I graduated from college, I really thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and I went to go work for one. And I realized I really like to be outside talking to people. So I realized maybe an outside sales role was more up my alley. So when I started working for Aflac, and I really believed in the product because they're products that really help people through some hard times.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you can't work, when you get cancer, and sometimes we don't see the hidden cost of, not being able to go to work because you're really sick. And these policies paid out cash. And I was working with some companies, but then I realized that to enroll on some of their policies, you have to have major medical. And I was working with a lot of blue collar companies where a lot of the workers were just waving it off because it was so expensive to enroll their family, and they didn't want to be the only ones to have it because it didn't seem fair to them. So I was working with a grocery store at the time that asked me if I could look into a plan that would offer benefits for their employees in Mexico because it was a lot more affordable. I had never heard of such a thing. I was like, I don't think it exists.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds really good. I was like, I don't think it exists. So I started doing my homework, and then I found MediExcel, and I went in to talk to the CEO, who back then was the marketing director, and we really hit it off. And then next thing you know, I was working there, and it's been 3 years since then.
How long has MediExcel been around?
We're going on our 6th year, but our hospital down in Tijuana has been there for 25 years, and it's been a cornerstone of the community for that long.
But that's cool. I mean, that's one of those things where, like, it's a drip start, right?
Right.
You're not getting a lot of traction at first. It's kind of like everybody wants this. Nobody knows it exists. Then then you start getting a little bit of traction. Now people are starting to know. So what kind of stuff are you doing right now to, like, get the word out yourself? Like, I mean, you're obviously in sales, right? So you need to talk to more and more businesses. What are you doing right now to grow that?
So right now, my main focus is to talk to brokers that are out looking for clients, looking at what to offer them, what type of benefits they could put on the table for their clients to help reduce the cost of benefits for their clients, or to get more employees coverage. Right now, we're really blessed that we're in such a tight labor market that, employees really have a lot of choice of where they can go to work. So one of the big things that almost defines where they're going to end up is the benefits. Sometimes we have employees that call our office and ask us, this company I want to go work for, do they offer your plan? And when we tell them, they're like, okay, I'm not going to talk to them. I'll go to this other company. So it's been really interesting to see that. And, that's one of the things that helps our growth. And for me, it's just going out to different broker agencies, sharing those stories, sharing our value proposition, then showing them how our rates stack up against rates here in the U.S. and letting them disseminate that to their clients.
Yeah, it makes an impression when you can definitely price shop. I mean, at least for an employer's point of view, right? Because as an employer, you don't want high turnover. You don't want the people leaving. You don't want your employees taking off. You want to care for them as best as you possibly can. But by the same token, you also run a business. You're going to remain profitable. So, having these different options, is it possible for your company to enroll and the cost goes 100% to the employee? Or does the company need to have some of the premium covered?
If the company is only offering Medicare, then they can offer it on a voluntary basis. But we're talking about really small companies in this case. Usually companies with less than 10 employees that don't really have a budget in place to offer benefits, but they want to do it for their employees. Yes. Usually on some of the companies over 15, that's when you start seeing them bring in a health plan, and that's when we require 50%. Just to make sure that it's even, because any U.S. plan that you bring onto the table is going to require 50% of the cost of the employee. You just want to make sure that it's fair.
Yeah, that's true. I was just wondering because I know there's a lot of businesses that want to do that they just don't have the means to. You know what I mean?
And like I said, we have plans that you could pick up even at 40 that are less than $200, and you could still pay that even on a voluntary basis because it's a lot more affordable than paying for a traditional plan here in the U.S.
100%. So tell me a little bit about your role in sales. Like, so you decided to, first of all, you jumped on board because you saw that this is something that people definitely need, right? That this is something that's out there. And that, to me, that's a big thing when it comes to selling something is you gotta believe in the product itself. You got if you don't believe in the product, providing the value and trying to talk about the benefits, it just doesn't come out right. You don't sound as authentic. So when did you decide that sales is going to be your thing and that either Aflac or MediXL was like the thing you wanted to talk about?
I think it was when I sat down with our marketing director and he told me the mission behind the company was really to add more coverage to people that have been priced out of the market. And that really resonated with me because for a long time when I was growing up, we didn't have healthcare coverage because we couldn't afford it. And I remember I got sick and I had pneumonia and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks and they weren't sure I was going to make it. And I remember when that hospital bill came, just the look on my dad's face. So ever since then, I've always kind of had this thing on the back of my mind that I knew that it was important. So when I was able to get this role and I've gone out and talked to companies and showing them, you can actually afford it, or employees that have been paying a rate that was making them live paycheck to paycheck and we're able to cut that in a third, it's really rewarding, to be able to help people and at the same time do something that you love.
It's almost saving lives.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because now you're growing up. Do you have any kids?
I don't have any kids.
But eventually someday, right?
Right.
And so for you to be able to turn around and go up to your dad, for example, but somebody else's kid, and be like, hey, you're covered. Like, don't worry, this big bill's gonna come, but look at the insurance paid all of it minus your deductible, whatever it is, right? And that's much more manageable. It's almost like, yeah, my kid didn't die of pneumonia, yes, but I don't have to also carry that with me going forward for the rest, the next 15 years when I'm trying to pay off this bill. Right. It's something that's like honestly, you have this boulder that you're taking off people's shoulders. How do you think, in the Obama era, we had the Obamacare that passed, right? And so people were required to have health insurance. How do you think the stigma of having insurance and then not being required and not understanding whether there's a tax law, all these different things, how does that contribute to how you're talking about it with people these days? So
before the Obama era, the consensus is that it was more affordable, but the benefits may not have been as rich. So you had some people, there's always winners and losers in every system. And back then there were people that if you had a pre-existing condition like cancer or heart attack, you may not have been eligible for coverage. Or sometimes if you had cancer, these type of treatments can add up really fast, and the policies had a max limit of benefits they would cover. So if they said, we've covered you up to $1 million. From this point onward, you're on your own. We're done paying out. Those things disappeared under Obama. So now, it didn't matter what your medical history looked like or how much money it was going to take to save your life. The insurance companies were going to do it. But then, of course, that reflected in the rates when they started going up little by little. And then you had the mandate that got repealed, and now it's coming back just in California. So effective January 1st, Governor Newsom just signed a bill that's going to bring the mandate back, and it's going to reflect in next year. And
Did you know that, by the way?
I did not know
back
that.
in January 31st?
But for California.
For California only.
California, right.
January 1st?
Right. So starting
Of
January
2020.
1st of 2020.
So you're not going to actually see that. And I'm assuming, just like the federal was, it's going to be a tax bill, not a mandate.
Right.
So if you don't have it, you have a tax penalty. It's not actually mandated for you to buy. It's kind of a little tricky caveat there, how they can mandate it.
Right.
But that means that when you file your tax return in 2021, that's when you're going to have it. That's when you're going to see the effect for what happened in 2020.
But it was interesting because last year we had an increase in the covered California rates, which is where you can go, if your company doesn't offer health insurance, you can go purchase a plan there during the last quarter of the year. And they had a rate increase. But this year, now that the mandate's coming back, they're going to almost have a rate pass, just because they're assuming that all the people that, waived off their coverage that were healthy are going to come back, and then the risk pool gets less risky.
That's the same assumption they made in the federal.
Yeah. So they're doing that next year. So we'll see how it turns out. But that's another thing to keep in mind if you're thinking about applying for an insurance policy, that next year the mandate's coming back specifically for California.
Those covered California plans, they're essentially group plans, right?
Right. It's a big pool
they're an
risk.
individual coverage, but it's an individual coverage in a covered California group.
Right.
Right. So so in that case, will MediXL be part of those options in covered California?
Not at this time, just because of how big the territory of California is. They prefer to have plans that can service a larger area versus us. We're more of a niche market to San Diego and Imperial Valley.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. What about like instead of companies, what if we have associations?
So that's one thing that we're looking at right now with some of the new healthcare guidelines that were coming out from the Trump administration, what you could do with certain associations. So that's something that we're currently reviewing, and we hopefully will be able to start doing something with associations next year. Because right now we work with a lot of trusts, which are a form of an association.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because if we can expand using the association route into the 1099 world, I mean, that opens up the door for brokerages. That opens up the door, for mortgage companies, for tax companies. I mean, it opens up the door for a lot more places. I know our insurance agencies is mostly, I mean, they're subcontractors. They're independently working on their own, going out and selling insurance. We do have W-2 staff, but the majority of the agents that are with us are 1099 people. But I mean, to be able to open the door there and say, hey, this is part of our group plan now, I mean, that's huge.
Right. And then some employees like to just have it just to say, this is some of the benefits that we offer, and see which employees are interested, because you never know.
Yeah, and you can have a taco even though it's not in underwriting.
Yeah, there you go.
The way back from the taco.
Right? Dude, you can never knock a taco, dude.
It's funny, one of the girls from our office was running late today, and she showed up with a bag of burritos because they sell them by the board. I was like, those were the best burritos I've ever had.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, just, I gotta go to the doctor. But first, or right after, right? Or after, because they might have to draw blood or whatever, to take your physical. But then after, we're going to have some tacos. Or, you want to get a little crazy? We're just going to drive in a little more. We're going to get some lobster.
Yeah,
lobster.
And one of the big benefits that people like about those medical passes, they're good for 2 days.
Oh.
Sometimes people have family down there. Sometimes they want to do what you said and just go down an extra day, go down to Rosarito, and then come back the next day using the medical pass. They can do that.
That's awesome.
Help them cross back faster. So we don't have to wait through that big line. Because that's always like on the back of people's heads is, I want to go, but the line sometimes.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
That's huge for me. Well, for me, it's two things. One is I don't really know my way around there anymore. Like, it's been years since I've gone. So that fear of, I don't know where I'm going. Of course, I got Google Maps, so it's not like, I can figure that out. But yeah, the border is definitely one of those things. But again, you had a solution for that. So where do you see MediXL in the next 3, 4, 5 years?
So one of the things that the company's been really good at is innovating. So every year we add on new services and new features to the plan to really enhance the experience for our members. So when I first joined, one of the things that they had just worked out was a partnership with the CVS Minute Clinics. So there are certain CVS stores that have clinics inside of them with nurse practitioners, and our members can go there for urgent care, so like a fever, stomach ache, something minor like that. That way they didn't have to go all the way down to Tijuana. They could be seen here for those minor things, and they didn't have to go to the emergency room either, where they might have a risk of it not being covered. And the following year, we offered the dependent-only coverage, which would allow them to split their coverage. And then this year, our big thing is Heal. I don't know if you're familiar with Heal. So Heal's kind of this new company that says, what if you had an Uber for your doctor? So you have an app you download to your phone, and what it does is the doctor comes to your house and they see you at your house. And that's going to be covered on all of our plans starting October 1st.
I didn't even know doctors made house calls these days, but that makes sense, actually. I mean, I know, like, my cousin's a doctor over there in Mexico, and she does make house calls. And I wonder, like, how many doctors would like to just go back to, let me carry a bag. I'm going to show up, right? And I'm like, this is my day. Right. I mean, what for the most part, what is it? You're physical. You're taking your weight, you're doing this. Maybe you're drawing some blood, like, or whatever it is. It's not like you need the hospital per se to do a lot of the physical, a lot of the what is it called again, where you go on a regular basis?
Preventative maintenance. Preventative care.
There you go.
Yeah.
So a lot
preventative
of that,
maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of that, I mean, or the other way around. You got people that are, at the end, at hospice or whatever, and you want a doctor to be able to come on a regular basis. That's smart.
Yeah, and for us, it's going to be an urgent care partner. So in addition to our current urgent care offerings, so I mean, sometimes when you have a fever or a stomach, you don't want to leave your house.
No.
And then he'll ask itself the same question. Yes, what if doctors went back to doing house calls? There's some that would prefer it, and it's been working out well for them. So they're currently available in select cities, like San Diego, Los Angeles, the larger metropolitan cities, and then select zip codes. But I think as the service grows, you'll be able to access it in more zip codes. So we're really excited about that partnership.
Absolutely. I mean, you got doctors that decided they, want to go into another field or whatever, or they want the extra side work, whatever it is. I mean, everybody's looking for extra stuff all the time. I mean, you have people who do all kinds of stuff and then drive Uber in the evening, whatever. Why not?
Right. And then most of them are full-time heel doctors, and then they take appointments from 8 to 8, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and they guarantee a doctor at your door within 2 hours. So that's amazing.
That is amazing. I mean, I'm just thinking about it from my own point of view. I can start my own practice that way. Mm-hmm. And I don't have the overhead of having an office. I don't have the overhead of having a lot of staff, and I make my own schedule, and that's actually pretty cool.
Dr. Uber.
Yeah, just the way everything's going. No one wants to leave their house anymore.
No, well, I mean, but they do leave their house.
Right.
They just, they don't. It really comes down to overhead. Operating a business is expensive. Right. You see it in real estate. We have EXPs doing the same type of thing. You don't need an office. You're going to meet the client where they are. Uber does the same thing. Uber Eats. The other day I was talking with Loans to Drones, right? And he was talking about, Amazon or McDonald's delivering via drone. Like, you're right. It's a convenience factor, but there are people who also wouldn't mind doing the work, going there, because they don't want to go to the same office every single day.
Right. Especially with the congestion sometimes.
Yeah, nobody wants to drive in that traffic. You know what? I don't mind driving. I just don't want to drive at 7 a.m. or at 5 p.m. Right. Those are the times I don't want to be on the road. But any other time, I'm pretty good. Yeah, with the exception of the occasional accident, like it's all good.
I was hating life driving to LA the other day.
It was sucked, huh?
Yeah, it was horrible.
Sometimes it doesn't matter when you're up there. It's just traffic at random times.
That's LA, man. Yeah. That's LA. It don't matter.
I mean, we were going like through Temecula and stuff, and I was like, God, what do I just want my bike right now?
It's 11 a.m. on a Sunday. Why is there so much traffic?
Exactly. Yeah, well, he hops on his bike and gets going. All right. Let's do the Ask the Bro section. So feel free to ask us anything you like, James or myself. And we'll go from there. What you got for us?
So first question is for you. When was the last time you went down to Mexico?
Last time I went down to Mexico, you know what? It has to be somewhere around like 2006 or 2007, somewhere around there. I was working at H&R Block, and I went with a group of them. So yeah, it had to be like 2005, 2006. No, 2006, 2007 time. That's been a long time. Before that, I used to go party at the clubs when I was 18. Okay. But then I got a little bit older and I started going downtown, and then I don't know, I just stopped going. I mean, scary story. The reason why I stopped going is I went to a club. Yeah. I went to a club and we're having a great time, whatever. And we walked outside and there was like 3 dead bodies, like shot up, cars. I was just thinking to myself, what if I came out at the wrong time? And then we had that whole little squirt of the whole drug era going over there, like people getting kidnapped and all that stuff. And it just kind of stuck in my head. And then I hadn't gone since. But now, like the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I got like a lot of my friends that are just going back. Everybody's starting to go back, and it's become it's become better. They've cracked down a lot of that stuff. It's a lot better. I just haven't crossed the border. I have my passport though, so we're ready to. We just haven't done it yet.
Yeah. So I mean, half of our staff lives at the Guadalupe Valley.
Mm-hmm.
They almost go down there like every other weekend just to go wine tasting in the restaurants because it's really affordable and it's a really amazing experience.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the big centers people are gravitating towards too.
Well, it's funny because I got 2 of my buddies. One of them is Jimmy. He's one of our partners at Pipeline, and he's like, I don't know why you don't go to TJ. Your gringo buddy goes to TJ, but you don't go. He's all, your gringo buddy's got a Century Pass, but you don't go.
Nope.
So I don't know. I just haven't gone. I miss me some TJ.
Yeah,
tacos,
I mean, we could definitely take you anytime because we offer tours of our hospital facility. So we have a 22-story state-of-the-art hospital facility 7 minutes south of the border. And we offer tours on Wednesday and Friday mornings. You just show up to our Chula Vista office. We'll drive you down there, give you a tour of the whole hospital facility, and stop for tacos on the way back, and then we're back. Usually it's from 9 to 1. So if you're ever interested, we can take up to 6 people on one of those tours.
Dang. Yeah, you guys
Offer goes for our listeners as well.
Yes, if you're interested in looking at the hospital, if you have a group that you want to insure, that would be
ideal.
We could offer as well.
Yeah.
Very cool.
By the way, well, that's a perfect time. Let's look at this camera right here, and then tell people how to get a hold of you because I'm sure they're gonna want to check out the tacos, and the hospital.
Yeah, you can definitely check out our hospital facility at mediexcel.com. We have testimonials from our members, from some of our business groups, and then you could also see our hospital facility. And if you need to reach me, you could always call me at 619-373-5951. I'm always available to take calls for any type of question.
Perfect. And then, did you have another question, or you were good?
Or did you want me to answer the same one?
Yeah, the same one.
I went to Mexico
recently.
Last month, I think it was. Went down for a wedding in Tecate, and it took me like 3 hours to get back. No, it wasn't that long. An hour and a half. Hour and a half to get back at the Tecate border.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You only have like one lane. It's one of the smaller crossing.
Yeah, I thought that would be like beneficial, going through the smaller one, but no, it still took forever. And
to be fair, we kind of got scarred as kids.
That's true.
Crossing the border.
That's true. We had an aunt that took us down there.
She lived in TJ
almost every day when she would babysit us, and I swear, like.
Well, to be fair, she's really kind-hearted, right? So she would always pack a bunch of clothes and everything that you're going to take down there to give away to the poor, right? So, I mean, we were big on that as a family. The problem with that is every time you cross the border, it's secondary inspection. So we're, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
And we don't have iPhones and iPads and stuff to keep us busy, for hours on end while we're waiting through second inspection.
So as kids, we were kind of scarred, right?
Hated it.
But, we got a little bit older and we're like, wait a minute, there's party stuff over here.
Like, we want to go back.
We want to go back again. So yeah, no, that's cool. Taking up to 6 people to check it out plus tacos, guys, you had a DD.
Yeah,
right.
Tacos and beer. You got a DD. Check it out.
Tacos and beer, super cheap in Mexico.
Super cheap. Plus, you might like the facilities. And if you're interested, if you have a business, you want to take your employees, they can check it out. You never know. You could be saving a life within your own company, or at least getting
saving a bunch of money.
And for sure, saving a bunch of money, right, dude?
For sure.
Hey, man, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was very informative. I mean, healthcare is a big thing. I didn't even know that the state passed that law.
Yeah,
I would have found out when I get my tax updates, and I would have got that packet. And I'm like, what? Then I would be talking about
get it again.
But it's good that being top of mind and being understanding what's going on and paying attention, that sort of stuff, because it's gonna make a big difference. You're gonna file your tax return, and it's gonna be one of those things where I thought the penalty went away. It did for the federal, but it's back for the state.
Right.
So very informative, and again, dude, anytime you give the opportunity to save people some money and buy tacos, it's a win in my book.
Right.
Thanks for coming out. All right, ladies and gents, real quick, 365 pairs of shoes by the end of the year. So if you got new shoes, used shoes, or you want to donate cash, hit James up 619-884-0045. And Saturday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., beach cleanup in Imperial Beach. So hit us up at Business Bros Pod, or go to see us first /events. That's going to be the spot where you can find the flyer for the information on the beach cleanup. And on Sunday, August, I'm in October already. Sunday, August 25th, Kirsten's Big Heart Run. So that's going to be in Roar Park. Again, if you want any of that information, at Business Bros Pod on any of our social media pages. And lastly, if you need to add insurance into your line of business, make sure you hit James up, 619-884-0045 or james@csfirst.com. We also are your preferred insurance referral partners. We're the ones who are going to reach out to your clients for you on a regular basis, because we got to talk to insurance, but we're also going to figure out when it's their time to buy or refi. So lenders out there, mortgage professionals, if you're looking for a little bit of help in making sure that you retain clients and continue to get referrals, you're going to want to hit us up to be on our referral network. Ladies and gents, that's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And we're out.
All right. Thank you, Facebook, and thank you, Gustavo.
Thank you.
Woo, I can tell my niece is here.
Did you hear her outside?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.